Good evening, everybody.
Hey,
Hope you're all
folks.
hope you're all well. Welcoming once again to Hecate's Dungeon. We are going to be playing some live Dungeons and Dragons, continuing the Princes of the Apocalypse campaign. Smaller party than usual this time,
That's an
hopefully.
understatement.
Um, tonight's party, if Kari would so kindly reveal the screen, um, we will have a slightly late arrival. In fact, can one of you in the chat just tell Lizzie to jump in whenever she's ready? Whenever she's finished eating
on it.
kebabs and stuff. Um, so we have Shrag, Kari, Jade, and Lizzie tonight because of various circumstances. Everyone's busy tonight for some reason. Alex not joining us makes sense from a storyline perspective, at least, because man, Barkus almost died last week. He decided to go and tank an ogre with his face.
I mean, with the size of the club that he got hit with, it was more like with his entire body.
If he hadn't been a half orc, he would have been dead. And apparently, according to the rules, he should have been dead. But
I actually looked it up, and it was like, if it doesn't kill you outright, and we're just like, oh, the grace of God just let him live in this one.
yeah, let's just it would have sucked to have died on his very first episode.
So he's been saved from being our first confirmed kill over how many campaigns now?
Ooh, yeah. But yeah, this is gonna be
4.5.
Yeah. When last we left our heroes, they'd returned back to town after a trip to a haunted tomb, and an encounter with an ogre and a goblin who had been robbing people who had gone into the tomb. And they came back victorious from this adventure. And then decided to ask around town for information. So you have a few leads in your possession. You have discovered that Mr. Valivo, who runs Valivo's Sundries, is in possession of some kind of a dwarvish book and is willing to part with it for 50 gold pieces, or he's interested in having it looked at by somebody who speaks Dwarvish. You also heard that he had seen somewhere on a tree about 4 miles out from town, there is a skull nailed to a tree with an arrow, like some kind of dire warning. You've also heard that there have been people in the area wearing scary-looking masks, and that such people have been seen in the nearby quarry in town, and that there's a guy, a halfling, who frequents the local tap house, may know more about this, the tap house being the Swinging Sword. So, now I'll hand over to you. What do you want to do?
That is a good question. This wide world of possibilities. I mean, besides that, I think I also mentioned, and everyone who is currently present should at least be aware, that Gunner's also been showing off the map in his possession, which is... would be... bring it up here.
Yes, it should be one of the handouts.
Right.
If all of you would like to, I can click a button that says show to players. Here we go. Does that come up?
Right. Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yay.
Okay, so Gunnar is carrying around this old dwarven map. Those of you who can read Dwarvish, it says Belsimer. And it marks the boundaries of an ancient dwarvish kingdom, made up of a number of different holds belonging to clans. You can see various clan symbols on there. You can see where the holds were and where the underground tunnels connecting them led. You can also see that there's a small settlement to the north that just reads humans. Um, it seems to line up with this region. You can see the position of the river and the hills are all in the same places. So this is the map that Gunnar has in his possession. When shown to the locals, they all vaguely recognize the region. They're like, oh yeah, that's the river there, and that's that really old dwarven bridge that goes over the river. And this funny looking writing, we can't read it. Yeah, so they recognize the region and they recognize the locations on the map. In fact, you can open up your maps and compare. So you recognize that the human settlement on the map matches up with the settlement called Westbridge now, and the bridge on the map marks, like, it lines up with Stonebridge, but all of the other human settlements that have sprung up in the region are nowhere to be seen on this map. This was long before humans had really settled much of this area.
And as he's showing this to everyone, he says, I figure you ain't got much honesty about you lot. Well, at least I don't figure you do. So I need some less... What's the word I'm looking for? Lawful-minded folks to possibly help me with digging around this region.
Sorry, you're saying this to the party?
Yes. Outright. Because he figures they're scoundrels, and it's useful that they're scoundrels. There ain't no more delicate way of putting it, I'm afraid, but you know, there's treasure to be had.
Shrag, you're playing a dwarf as well. Hauser has heard of the legendary dwarven kingdom of Belsimer, but it was so long ago that it's almost like practically a myth. Like, the very idea that it actually existed, this amazing dwarf kingdom, there could be untold riches, but goodness knows what of them actually remains to this day.
Aye. Well, are you sure you didn't get this map out of some kind of picture book?
Entirely. I dug it out of the stone itself.
Aye?
When you look at the map, it appears to be a rubbing taken from some kind of stone or metal object that has been carved or engraved with the markings.
It's no fancy discovery, but when I was quarrying up north, I managed to find a ruin hidden deep in the dirt. This is one of the things that came off its walls.
I see.
So, there's that,
Well,
and a few other things we might turn to. And at this point, it's just he's gonna look over at Ren and say, "You're being awfully quiet, aren't you?"
Ren, for this part, is actually got this leather bag on her lap that she's sort of stitching runes into, and she just looks up like, "I'm sorry, what? Oh, not really. Treasure's not really my thing. I mean, books my thing, magic's my thing. I mean..." He sort of looks at it.
Lass, you know we're talking about old dwarven ruins, right? I'm not the type to say that, you know, treasure's exactly your thing, but who knows what else might be buried within the stone. Artifacts, other sorts of things, old machinery maybe? Not a fan of it myself, but might even Huh?
Machinery. Yeah, what kind of machinery? I mean, now you have my interest.
Well, I'd suppose heavy machinery, if anything. I mean, much as I like to talk about the glory of dwarfs, we can't have dug out the stone with our hands, you know?
Fair.
Even in Earthart, we had some things that had to keep the place alive against the Underdark. Pure manpower itself, they don't last against Drow and deep dwarves and other things. Dwergar, you know, the real nasty beasties.
Fair.
And what makes you think the ruins haven't been picked clean already?
Well, I've been searching around here and there, but no one in the town seems to know too much about the ruins themselves.
Well, they wouldn't. They're bloody human.
Of course not, but you'd figure, people around here, right? If they saw some ruins like that, they'd have some sort of reputation. People would know about them, even humans out this far, because there'd be lots of folks passing through to head there. At least that's what I figure.
So
Well,
what magnitude
Renda's-
of... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Morgana was saying that the curiosity shop, they've got books in Dwarvish, so maybe something in there. They might have something about your ruins.
Hey, well, that's a thought, isn't it?
I am reportedly quite intelligent, so...
This magical stat sheet. It tells me many things, including the fact that I'm very smart. Sometimes I see it when I sleep.
God. 16, 8, 10. Is this all I am?
They always talk about the plains, but I can't believe what I see in my dreams. Oh god, this just reminds me of the story of like the guy rolling to understand like the meta aspects of the world, and he rolled a 20 and his character became unplayable.
Do you not want to roll some? Do the two dwarves want to roll history checks to see if you remember anything else about the Dwarven Kingdom of Belsima?
Aye,
Sure, that'll be good for a laugh.
that'll go really well.
Yep.
Oh,
So, Kate, can I roll as well, Kate? Because I do
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah,
Because
go for
there's
it,
a lot
go
of
for it.
reading,
only a
and I'm actually.
non-dwarvish
I'm-
scholars know about this kingdom, but let's see if you roll something good.
I like that. The two dwarves are just not smart.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's even worse.
Two. A two.
Of legend, and that's pretty much all you have to say about Belsima. You've heard the name, Old Dwarvish Kingdom. That's about all you knew. They built a really fancy stone bridge that's still there to this day and still being used over the river. But that's pretty much it. That's all you know.
Aye, anyone think we should take a stop by Candlekeep? Because I don't remember a damn thing.
So let's suppose that these ruins are still around and still have something after however many years the doors have been missing.
Mhm.
What kind of magnitude are we talking about in terms of treasure?
You
In
can
your
see-
estimation.
You can see how large this is, correct? There are several clans hidden beneath the earth. Well, I figure each one has to have its own sort of vault. That might mean...
Just as one note from the history check, this kingdom existed about 5,000 years ago.
And if it's not
Just to
forgotten-
give you a sense of time scale, okay?
Yay! That's important. Well, if it got lost somewhere along the way, I don't know how long ago it got lost, but I'd figure if no one's talking about it these days, then probably a lot. That seems like a decent enough assumption.
Yeah. From what you've heard from asking around the town, none of the villagers know about it because the town of Red Larch, by human standards, it's been around for a fairly long time, about 200 years, but clearly the humans mostly arrived in this region way, 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 way after this dwarven kingdom had stopped being a thing, and that's why nobody in this region has a clue about it.
Suppose we'd have to ask some of our brethren if they have anything in their, clan history, but I think it's a safe enough bet.
Aye. I'll be frank with you. I'm not much for wild goose chases. So if it turns out there's nothing, I'll be mighty displeased.
Well, I can't tell you much on that front, but rest assured, you do need a source of money, do you not? You look like the, stranded on land sort of type.
But I'll tell you this much. The pittances we've been getting from goblins and bandits, it's tiding me over, but it's nowhere near what I need.
Then, here's your break.
Aye. Well, then I just have one more question for you. Have you not an ounce of discretion, lad? Been waving this map around all over the place, and you decide the one person that you're gonna tell to come with you and search for treasure is a bloody pirate.
Precisely.
So what is stopping me from slitting your throat in your sleep and taking the map for myself?
Well, let's see. You'd have to make it out there yourself. Presumably you'd have a harder time convincing everybody to come along. And you haven't seen the rest of the ruins that I have. Well, it's not to say that they had much more knowledge. You'd also be down someone who is very familiar with the stone, and he just kind of looks over at Ren. Would you go along with this man if you were just going along?
You kidding me? I wouldn't trust him as far as he could throw me.
Yeah, there it is. If you slit my throat, then you can't have the others trusting you not to slit theirs.
Aye. It was a fair question. You've got to admit.
Hey,
But you do have something to offer. So it seems that we may all survive this.
Possibly, but let's see. So we have a book we need to go and investigate, don't we? Or some other things. Which way do you want us to go?
All right, so you have the lead of Valavo's book, or the skull pinned to a tree to go on at the moment, or the quarry.
It ain't my skull. Why should I give a damn?
Or you can just look on your map and pick a random place. I can't guarantee you won't die, but...
Go prospecting. Omens and such, but he just looks over to Ren. What's your thoughts on this? Anything you want to go for?
I'll see the bookshop.
Right, well, that's an easy enough decision.
Aye.
Yeah, hops up.
Guys, Morgana's already been there, so, at least we're less likely to run in trouble.
If we've been announced, well, let's head over, see what we can read.
Okay.
All right. You head on over to the rather well-packed looking home that is Valavo's Sundries. A house converted into a shop, presumably because he just collected so much stuff in there that he might as well just start selling it. All of the furniture stacked against the walls and things, and the elderly human man who sort of waves to the young children as they go past. They give him a nod and a smile. Some of them run up to him now and again to tell him things that they might have heard about, and he slips them a little copper penny for the news. And when he sees some dwarves approaching, he goes, "Oh, have you come to look at the book?"
Aye, that's, we were tipped off to its, existence, I say.
I don't suppose you've come to buy it?
Buying's a bit of a strong word. You see that I'm a little skint, and he turns out his pockets.
Well, I suppose, evaluating it would be, appropriate. You get to look at it. I get to have it valued. Might be a fair trade. come on in, come on in. And
Certainly.
beckons you into the shop and takes you into one of the small back rooms. And he opens up a chest that he's locked with a little key, puts the key back in his apron, and opens up the chest reverently, this old brass chest. And in it sits a beautiful old dwarven book. It is just a gorgeous example of dwarvish craftsmanship. It's got brass bindings on it, gilded edges, sturdy pages of parchment, and every page has beautiful illumination, like typically dwarvish, like geometric patterns and little blocky drawings of little dwarves at work or doing little processions or fighting goblins and giants, the sort of things you would expect dwarves to be doing. So you have a look at it, and it's actually it. When you start reading through it, you start to find it. There are lots of like family trees in there and lists of names. This is it's actually a genealogical history of the dwarf clans of the Mirabar region.
Mirabar. Oh, that's north of here, isn't it?
He says, do you know what it is? I got it from a peddler who was passing through the town. They said that they'd got it from some shady keelboat shipper over in Womford, and he'd somehow come into possession of a dozen of these books like this. I felt like, well, it's might be of use to somebody. It's such a beautiful book. It seems a shame for it just to be in the hands of criminals and the like.
Gunnar just kind of looks over at Hauser for a second. Aye. It seems like a family registry almost, or what's the word? I'm not quite sure. He's not very eloquent with these sorts of things. A list of clans, I think. Just starts flipping through the pages and pointing out various like symbols, names, etc. Well, these seem to be from Northerners, Mirabar. You know, the minor types.
Huh. That's very strange. I wonder how it came into the possession of criminals. He said that the shipment was marked with a weird symbol. He drew it for me. Hang on. He searches in his pockets to find a piece of paper with the symbol on it. Let me just find what I'm looking for. Here it is. Let me just draw the symbol on the screen for you so you can see what it looks like. Okay. So the symbol looks like this.
Oh.
So it's, hang on, let me just, so yeah, see a symbol like that. It's not a dwarvish symbol. It is some kind of strange rune that you've never seen before.
And Gunnar looks officially stumped, but that's a clue there. Huh.
Feel free to note it down somewhere.
Anyone notes it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Grazie.
Okay, let's delete that. So he goes, yeah, so don't really know what to make of it. There's this strange case full of all these old dwarven books, and now it's some kind of a history.
Sorts.
No idea where they got them. Ever up north, you say? No idea.
This would probably be more valuable to a shield dwarf, I'd figure.
Oh, you're one of them hill dwarves, aren't you? Gold dwarves.
Yeah. Down from south itself.
Don't suppose you'd like to buy it, or know anyone who would?
He just kind of looks over at Hoser again, like, I don't think particularly, but yeah, you mentioned a seafaring sort. Sort of just steps aside to see if that might interest Mr. Pirate. Indeed. Silence will fall.
Silence will fall.
It's been 10,000 years. Shrug?
A lot of things come in on boats.
That is true. But
Yeah.
it's good intentions, damn it.
A keelboat of some kind?
Aye, keelboat was what he said. Keelboat shipper over in Womford.
Hey,
If you check your map, you can see where Womford is. I believe it should be on the area map.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
If you look,
there it
is to the south. It's down to the southeast of Redlatch.
By the
Okay.
Forlorn Hills, the Barchright Inn, it's on the Iron Road.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know
it's
if that'd be
just on
of too
the
much
Deseret
interest.
as well.
I mean, if they're from Womford, they're probably just people who sail on rivers and not
Sons.
on the high seas.
It's Mumford and Sons.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Quality humor. If everyone comes here for puns, you're welcome.
Well, if you want an honest appraisal, I'd say it's probably not worth much if you're not a dwarf, and I've no interest in the history of the clans.
Well, I'd be a little more generous and say it does look pretty. But this may be something to sell more to a shield dwarf headed north. And I think they might honestly take it more as an offer to profiteer.
duly noted. I'll put it in storage. You never know what kind of people come through the town. I mean, we had a bunch of shield dwarves coming through with that trade envoy a few 10 days back. Well, I heard they went missing or something. Damn shame that. Not good for the region at all.
Boy, that sounds familiar. He's kind of racking his brain, but it doesn't really ring too many bells. It's just distant. Gunner. not very smart.
I'm sure some others in the town probably know some more about it. Big trade envoy. It had elves, humans, dwarves, all traveling from the big city, and they passed through, and then they just vanished somewhere in the Sumber Hills.
Kind of racks his brain a bit, and then back to their smartest party member.
Ren's been looking at other stuff in the shop and has barely been paying attention because
Hey, you've been seeing all kinds. There is so much stuff in this shop. This guy has just been collecting crap for decades, and there's all kinds of things. There are all cuckoo clocks in here. There's like furniture, mostly human, but there are some examples of occasional like bits of elven arts and crafts around. There are some old dwarvish tools that everything's a bit dusty, but there's some pieces that look in good stead. He's really got everything you could hope for. If you need a lantern, he's got it. He can pretty much sell you anything you might need.
The simultaneously best and worst party member to have in this kind of shop.
MacGyver.
Yeah, no, like her eyes are already pretty big, but I imagine they're like about 4 times bigger right now as she's like trying to take in everything in this room, and like, yeah, it's a horrifying thought, like what she could be coming up with in her head. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it's just like, yeah, no,
I'd
give it
say
10
they're
minutes.
dinner plates, but she's a gnome, so yeah. So it's more like saucers, I guess, huh?
But still pretty damn big.
They're pretty big.
Really damn.
It's perspective.
Yeah. Most of her head.